Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to the channel and welcome to Chatsworth. Now, I've lost track of the number of times I've ridden through here. But one thing's always puzzled me. Why is there a public road through here? Doesn't make sense. After all, to all intents and purposes, this is the Duke of Devonshire's front garden. So why does he let traffic through? Well, it all revolves around a rather grisly murder, a pair of shoes, and a slightly unusual death sentence. So stick around and all will be revealed. Okay, so we're just about to leave Chatsworth, just passing a little village, well it's not even a village, it's a hamlet really, of Enzo. So we're just approaching the village of Baslow. And we're going to turn left. So a couple of miles up the road from Baslow, we come to Carver. So only just about half a mile up the road from Carver, we reach Stony Middleton. Now there was a gentleman called Samuel Marsden who lived here. He was a cordwainer or shoemaker, and he is going to become rather important later on in the story, so keep him in mind. Just off to our right there is the road into Eyam, which is the plague village of some repute, but that's another story. So we've left Stony Middleton and we're now climbing up Middleton Dale. If you've ever ridden down here at night in the dark, you'll know it's really spooky. Gives you the heebie-jeebies. So we've climbed out of Middleton Dale over the top and we're just dropping down the hill, and over there in the distance you can just about see the village of Wardlow. And this, of course, is the Yondermann. Which will be familiar to many of you. Back in the 19th century, long before the Yondermann was here, there was a toll house here on what is now the A623 Chesterfield Road. The toll house keeper was a middle-aged widow named Hannah Oliver, and on New Year's Day 1815 a 21-year-old man named Anthony Lingard from the nearby village of Lytton murdered her by strangling her with a scarf. He stole some money and a pair of red shoes. Now, Lingard had got his girlfriend pregnant, and he hoped to bribe her into saying that someone else was the father of her child, but she suspected the money and the shoes had been stolen, so she refused. Now by this time the murder had been discovered by a serving maid at the Three Stags Head across the road. Anthony's girlfriend, being very suspicious of him, informed the investigators. Okay, let's move on to Lytton. Now, Lingard's house here in the village of Lytton was searched and the red shoes were found. Samuel Marsden, the shoemaker from Stony Middleton, recognised them as the ones that he had made for Hannah Oliver. So Lingard was arrested and taken to Derby jail and put on trial for the murder. He was convicted on the evidence of the shoemaker and the red shoes and was sentenced to death by hanging. Now, normally, after an execution, the offender's body was given up for medical research, but the judge decided to impose a more heavy sentence to act as a deterrent. So Lingard was to be gibbeted. His body would be placed in a metal cage and hung near the scene of the murder. So let's go back to Wardlow Mires. So on the 8th of March 1815, Lingard's body was transported from Derby Jail to Wardlaw Mires, where he would be hung at Peter's Stone, which is a huge limestone rock over there in the distance. It's known locally as Gibbet Rock. His body was stored overnight opposite the toll house in the barn attached to the inn. On the day of the gibbeting, this place was packed with onlookers, all keen to see the sight. Local merchants took advantage of the spectacle and set up stalls. It was more like a street market down there. Angela Lingard's body hung there for 11 years before it was finally taken down on the 20th of April 1826, following complaints from the locals about the horrible sounds of the skeleton rattling in the cage in the wind. It's a bit gruesome, isn't it? So, what has all this got to do with the public road through Chatsworth? Well, let's find out. So, we're now travelling along the route that Lingard's body would have taken from Derby Jail. We've just left Darleydale and we're travelling along what is now the A6 on the way to Bakewell. Now, what they should have done is, as they approach Roseley, they should have turned left over the river and headed on towards Bakewell, but they didn't. For some reason they turned right. So the convoy travelled through Roseley village. And about a mile or so up the road, they passed through Beeley village. Another mile up the road and we've reached Chatsworth House, a private estate of the Duke of Devonshire. Now when the convoy get here, one of the Duke's servants comes running out and says, "You can't come any further, this is private property, it belongs to the Duke of Devonshire." The officer in charge of the convoy said, "He may be a duke, but I hold the King's commission. Quick march." And off they went through the grounds of Chatsworth House. Now, there was an ancient law which said any road which was used to transport a corpse automatically became a public right of way. So Angela Lingard's body is the reason why you can now drive your car or ride your motorbike through the Duke of Devonshire's front garden. So here we are, back at Chatsworth. where it all started. So, what became of Antela Lingard's girlfriend and her unborn child? Well, we don't know the girl's name, as it doesn't appear in the trial records, but in the Tideswell parish records, a few months later, baptism is recorded. The mother's name was Grace Wager, a single woman, and the child's name is recorded as Mary Hannah Wager. So, was she Lingard's daughter? Was she christened Hannah in sympathy or in respect for the murdered Hannah Oliver? Did she grow up knowing that her father was a murderer? Or did she lie in her bed at night, listening to the eerie sounds, and knowing that it was her father's skeleton rattling in the gibbet? Now, there's one last snippet to give you. So when the cordwainer of Stony Middleton made the red shoes, he fitted a small piece of paper in one of the heels as packing. On that piece of paper were written 3 words: commit no crime. So that's ironic, isn't it? So, the next time you ride through Chatsworth or sit in the Yondermann having your breakfast, think about those red shoes and the young Anthony Lingard hanging from the gibbet for 11 years. His bones rattling in the wind. It's a gruesome story, and it's all true, but please don't have nightmares.